Hello, how are y'all YouTube? Today I am talking about Adele, and I am talking about, she's got a couple of really interesting star placements in her chart. So as y'all I'm sure know, this is Adele, and this is Adele's chart. So we are going to be talking about what makes her voice beautiful, and we're also going to talk about the timing of her weight loss. So Adele was born in Tottenham, England on May 5th, 1988. The time is 8:19 a.m. I did have to double check that because I was kind of surprised by what I found in her chart. So let's go ahead and get in it. I did get this on astrological.by.love. So you can go and pull up her chart if you want to follow along with me. That'd be great. So, like I said, when I first looked at Adele's chart, you know, I know Adele because of her voice. So I had to go look and see what her Mercury was doing. I mean, you know, her voice is gorgeous, right? So typically with singers, there's some kind of contact between Mercury and Venus or Mercury and Neptune, and it's not there. So I was concerned for a moment. You know, how does one have such a beautiful voice, and all she has is this weird inconjunct from here's Mercury to Saturn and Uranus. So, anyways, I thought I had the wrong birth data. I went and looked it up, and it was right. So I just had to dig deeper and know that, you know, a lot of times when you hire an astrologer, they need to study your chart for a little bit first before y'all talk. You know, and know specifically what you're wanting to ask them, what you're needing to know. And that way they can study it and be able to, you know, answer you as precisely as possible. You know, there are tens of thousands of conjunctions and connections in astrology. Even the most experienced astrologer comes across a chart every now and then that needs a little extra time. So anyways, I had to do some research on the stars that I went and researched if there were any stars around her sun, Mercury, Venus, and Neptune. So Neptune turned up nothing. But there were stars that were near her sun, Mercury, and Venus that I'm going to talk about. And I feel like, you know, they definitely reveal some stuff. We'll start with her sun. So her sun is in Taurus, 15 degrees, 1 minute of Taurus right here. So, and it's real near Jupiter. Her Jupiter's 1354 of Taurus right next to it. They've got that conjunction going on. So there is a star between these two planets called Almach, Almach. This star is at 14 degrees, 15 minutes of Taurus. This star is said to bring success in Venusian occupations. Singing is one of those occupations. And it gives an artistic ability, and it even makes one popular. So this is the star Almach is between her sun and Jupiter in her 11th house, which is really cool. So, you know, the sun is your ego, it's your core identity, it's who you are, and it's infused with this fantastic energy from Almach. And Jupiter increases this positivity and enlarges and expands it. You know, speaking of weight loss, when you've got Jupiter next to your sun, a lot of times Jupiter can expand your body as well. So that's something I noticed when looking at her chart. We're going to talk about her weight loss a little bit later. But, you know, this, with Almach being in the picture with the sun and Jupiter, this, you know, could normally be enough of an indicator for a beautiful voice. You know, hers is gorgeous though. So I kept digging. Next I went to Mercury. Like I said, there's also a star there. Like the sun and Jupiter, Mercury is within 1 degree of Alcyone. Alcyone brings ambition, honor, and glory to any planet that's touching it. In this case, it's Adele's Mercury. Now, if you remember, Mercury rules our speaking, how we sound, what we say. It rules our thoughts, how we think. So Alcyone brings, Alcyone, brings ambition, honor, and glory to Adele's voice. She has definitely won some awards and received some honor for her voice. There is a downside to this star. The downside to this star, Alcyone, is that it can also bring troubles with the opposite sex. If you just listen to her music, she has been there. So that is, Alcyone influencing her Mercury, her voice. And so, both of those just bring that beautiful voice to life, bring it to her. So those are really fortunate placements. However, if you do listen to her beautiful music, so I'm talking again about, those heartaches. She has experienced those heartaches, and Alcyone brought that. So let's also look at Venus. There's a star influencing her Venus, and her Venus is, so here's her Mercury, and her Venus is right down here in her 12th house, and it is at 25-21 degrees. And the star near Adele's Venus is Hecka, so A-L space H-E-C-K-A. Hecka brings honor and then also wealth, power, and greed, and it also brings aggression. So ancient texts say that it is thought to have the nature of Mars. So that can, sound a little bit scary, but, if you remember when Mars and Venus get together, it becomes like a magnet, like you become a law of attraction magnet. And so this Mars energy brings Adele's Venus the power to create, the power to bring things, money, awards, fame to her. It doesn't necessarily affect her voice. We saw that though with Mercury and the Sun and Jupiter being affected by those stars. But, that is really cool that she's got that influence there, from Hecka. So I really enjoy looking into the stars and how they influence stuff. There's a couple of hundred stars out there, and it's amazing the energy that comes from them as well as the planets. But we've just talked about her Venus. We cannot talk about Adele's Venus without also talking about Chiron. So here we go. Chiron is right there in the 12th house, tightly conjunct her Venus. So her Venus is 25-21 and Chiron's 25-54. So they're about 30 minutes apart. There's 60 minutes in a degree, so that's about a half degree apart. That's very, very close. So Chiron is a planetary body in our solar system. It's referred to by astronomers and astrologers alike as a centaur. Centaurs in our solar systems are hybrids and have the traits of both asteroids and comets. So centaurs in mythology were hybrids as well. They were half human and half horse. So, the name centaur fits Chiron. Chiron's orbit around the sun is not normal either. So it does orbit around the sun, but it cuts into Saturn's orbit, and then it goes way out and almost touches Uranus's, kind of like the shape of an egg. So Chiron was discovered in 1977, and since that time there have been several other centaurs in our solar system that have been discovered. Astrologically speaking, Chiron is referred to in simplistic terms as the wounded healer. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about it because it's so much deeper than that. So, like I said, in mythology, Chiron was half horse and half man. Chiron's father had turned himself into a horse, though, and forced himself on Chiron's mother, who was a nymph. So Chiron's mother, the nymph, gets impregnated by, this god pretending to be a horse. And so when Chiron was born, a centaur, Chiron's mother was so disgusted by him that she abandoned him. So Chiron started his life in pain. But because of that pain, Apollo, who was mainly, one of the top gods, came across baby Chiron and adopted him and raised him. And he became to be a nobleman, very refined. Apollo taught Chiron all about the art of healing, of herbs and plants, and how to heal people, heal animals, heal. Typically though, in mythology, centaurs are known to be drunken, wild carousers. They're the folks your mama told you not to hang with. And Chiron was known as being the most just and refined of the centaurs. So his rejection and pain as a baby had allowed him to rise above to a different life. So at a civilized dinner one night, Chiron was there, and he had made these arrows with this special poison on them and given them to a friend at the banquet, and his friend was going to use them, for not good deeds. And so, anyway, they're at the dinner, and these wild, drunken, crazy centaurs attack the dinner. Well, in all the chaos and fighting the centaurs off, his friend accidentally hits Chiron with the poison arrow in his leg. And Chiron had done such a good job making this poison, he was not able, none of the herbs or the pastes or the medicines or anything that he had at his disposal could heal his leg. So from then on, he was the wounded healer. So this is the story of Chiron. In some aspects, it's a beautiful story, but in others, it's truly painful. And Chiron is, in Adele's chart, less than 30 minutes from her Venus. If you remember from other videos, Venus is the planet of luxury. It's how we receive love. It's how we want to be loved. How we care for others, what we think is beautiful. And, this is an incredibly tight conjunction, a very painful placement for Adele. What she thinks is beautiful and luxurious, a lot of times hurts her. And, from the experience, she can heal others. I'm sure there's people who have, cried through their heartbreaks listening to her music. Beautiful music can be very healing. But, her attractions and the things that she likes tends to hurt herself. And this is all in the deep, very subconscious part of her chart in the 12th house. Like I said, Venus and Chiron are conjunct here in the 12th house. And so the 12th house is the place of unseen things. Ancient texts referred to it as endings. It rules foreign lands, traditional establishments where you can't see what's going on behind closed doors, like monasteries and hospitals, prisons, things like that. Also rules our sex life, and also, subconscious, unconscious thoughts and our dreams, those things we can't see. And so, this is unfortunate. This is something, and as far as energies go, I did want to say this. So this is a very strong energy in Adele's life. And this is something that she will probably struggle with on one level or another the rest of her life. When you have stuff like this in your chart, though, you can go to therapy. You can meditate. You can work on yourself. And you can find ways to, cope and heal to a degree. But some things are always going to be there. Some things you just have to feel that impulse and know, hey, I've got to do something different than what my knee-jerk reaction is. But, that's a pretty strong conjunction there. That energy is probably always going to be there, at least in the back of her mind somewhere, the rest of her life. Unfortunately, this is also opposite her moon. So her moon is right here, 26 degrees of Sagittarius, and Venus and Chiron are over here, at 25 degrees. And that's, a pretty strong conjunction. I mean, not conjunction, but opposition as well. So they're less than a degree apart. And when this happens, so when Venus is opposite the moon, you crave love and affection and comfort more than most people. And this is a basic human need that everybody needs. And Adele craves it more than most. And unfortunately, with that opposition, it's even more difficult for her to get it. So, this is the cause of, those heartbroken topics in her song. She's been there, she feels it, and she craves that love and affection more than others. And so, by the way, any good guys out there who are watching this, I do want to point out that Adele herself is a beautiful and gentle lover. Her Mars is trine her Venus, so that her Mars right here, over here in the 9th house, is trine her Venus. So when that happens, you tend to be, kind and gentle to others. You can sense what they need, and you can give it to them, and you can comfort them. And if you have any planets, men, in your chart, in Capricorn, especially between 5 and 15 degrees, that's over here in her 7th house. So the planet Neptune is there. So she will probably, have all sorts of delusions that you're perfect and wonderful, and also be a little bit obsessed with you and think you're magical, because on top of it all, it's got this sextile to Pluto. So Adele's a fantastic lover, and she puts her men up on pedestals, and she can't see their flaws. She doesn't think there's anything wrong with them. Shoot, they're perfect. And so, any good guys out there who are watching this, please take care of her. Be good to her. She's a good human. She's a beautiful soul. She's a fantastic lover. And she has a gorgeous voice that rivals angels. So, and real quick, I did want to talk about her recent weight loss. So, I had read that she had started on a weight loss routine last July. So July of 2019, it's March 2020 right now. So in June of 2019, Jupiter was going through her 6th house. So Jupiter was in Sagittarius going through her 6th house. Your 6th house represents your body. It's also your daily routines, your health routines. And so I don't know if you remember me talking about Oprah Winfrey. Oprah has Jupiter in her 6th house. And Oprah has a self-care daily routine like none other. And that is what Jupiter wants. It wants you to take care of yourself on a regular basis to improve yourself, to improve your body. So she had been experiencing that transit for a couple of months in July of 2019. And then Mars was also in May and June going through her 12th house. So that's stirring stuff up unconsciously. That's causing, aggression and just restlessness in your mind when Mars is going through your 12th house. You're angry about stuff and you're wanting to get it done. And, once again, Mars would have hit her Venus and her Chiron and then hit her ascendant. And so in July of 2009, Mars was hitting her ascendant, bringing energy to that 1st house, which is also representative of your body. So she had the want to lose weight, the want to take care of herself, and to have better daily routines with Jupiter in her 6th house. And then she also had Mars going through her 1st house. And that's an excellent time to start losing weight, to start a workout routine. And, the thing with astrology, I doubt she was sitting there looking at her natal chart going, oh, this would be good. No, those energies and those impulses arise during these transits. You just naturally start thinking about it. And so astrology is good because it can a lot of times clarify what you're thinking and be like, yes, this really is a good time to do this. And so, Adele was gorgeous before all this, but, she's gorgeous and healthy now. And I'm really glad she's going through all this. And I'm just a huge Adele fan. Adele, you're fantastic. And so, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe. Astrology.by.love. I'm working on the website still, but please leave a comment below what you thought, any questions, any celebrities you'd love for me to do their chart, let me know. I'm here for y'all. Thanks.